What is going on, guys? I'm back here with another podcast, and today's show is going to have two choices for a name that you can comment, and I will count up the comments. So comment which name you like between Pegasus Sports Podcast and Fourth and Goal Sports Podcast. Now decide which name you like better, and that'll be the name of this show because I don't have a name yet. So today's show, we're going to be talking about the Final Four that's all set for Saturday, and the Elite Eight games from last Saturday and Sunday. And we're going to touch on some NBA today. So we have a pretty busy show. Saturday's games were I was disappointed in the Loyola Chicago Kansas State game. I thought it was very boring. I thought Loyola Chicago was the better team throughout the whole thing. Michigan Florida State game was almost an upset. It easily could have been, but Michigan managed to pull off a win. And so the first Final Four game is going to be Michigan versus Loyola Chicago. And Loyola Chicago is the Cinderella, and Michigan is, like I said in the last show, the hottest team in the tournament, in my opinion. I think between those two games, I'll have predictions for those either on Wednesday's show or Friday. Probably Friday's show. I'm going to have predictions because I still need to think about who I like in those. And then Saturday, Villanova got the better of Texas Tech on all cylinders and beat them by 12. And in the second game, in a game that most experts picked Duke to win, Kansas won. Now Kansas plays better as the underdog, and they have for a long time under Bill Self. And people said at the beginning of the year that this was going to be a down year for the Jayhawks, and they're in the Final Four now. So they've been underdogs all season. Some even said they weren't even going to win the Big 12 this year, and they won the Big 12. Now they're in the Final Four. I think they have a chance against Villanova. Most people are going to pick Villanova, probably, but I think Kansas could win this game. And I think they could beat Michigan or Loyola Chicago in the national championship game on Monday. Wednesday's show, the next show, is going to have a lot of baseball talk. We're going to get on our baseball preview because opening day is in 3 days on Thursday. And I am super excited for it. You guys probably are too. I'm a huge baseball fan. Baseball is an awesome sport. So we're going to talk a lot about that too. The Final Four is on Saturday, National Championship on Monday. We have NBA playoffs starting in a few weeks, same with NHL playoffs. It's a pretty good time to be a sports fan. But the most talked about thing right now is probably going to be the Final Four because of how great this tournament has been. Duke versus Kansas was the best game I've seen in this whole tournament, in my opinion. And I think Villanova Kansas could be better too. Even better. Villanova has had KU's number in the past few games, but Kansas plays good as an underdog. The past few times, Kansas was not an underdog. Kansas is an underdog this time, going against Villanova. Villanova has become a pretty powerful program because they just recruit 3-star players that will stay all 4 years, while schools like Kansas and Duke and North Carolina recruit these 4- and 5-star recruits that stay for one season. And when you keep a team together for one season and then have to reset after every season, you never get team chemistry, and I think you're less likely to do well in the tournament. Villanova, Jay Wright has built something there where he's recruiting these players that are staying for a long time, and they just keep coming in. And they're going to be a powerhouse for years to come. They might make the Final Four next year. They could win another title. This is their second Final Four in 3 years. They won the tournament 2 years ago, of course, on that Chris Jenkins buzzer beater that we're all going to remember forever. And I think they're going to be good against Kansas. It's going to be a very good game. I want to touch on Loyola Chicago because they might be a Cinderella to us, but not many people saw them making the Final Four. They saw it. They knew they could make the Final Four. Because they're a mid-major school, and because of all this, the way college basketball is changing, it's changing a lot, and it's gonna become a lot more parity in the league. Mid-major schools keep their stars for all 4 years, and all these big schools are keeping their stars for 1 year. And even if the NBA gets rid of the one-and-done rule, we might see mid-major schools winning tournaments more in years to come. I think I saw this on, I think it was Fox Sports Radio. I'm not sure who said it. I don't know who it was, but it was in the radio when I was in the car one day. He said that a 16 seed will beat a 1 seed again in the next few years. And I agree with that because of the way college basketball is changing. Especially if the NBA gets rid of the one and done rule, a lot of these star high school players are just going to skip college and go straight to the NBA. But the players that aren't good enough are going to come to college. And they're going to play and they're going to try their hardest. And all these other guys are going to be around the same skill level as them, and it's going to make for an even harder tournament to predict. So I think this is a change for the better. Some say it's going to kill college basketball, but I am not sure. The Final Four on Saturday is going to be great no matter what. Especially this FBI investigation's put a dark cloud over the sport, but not many people have been talking about that since the tournament started. So Friday's show we'll have our Final Four predictions. Monday we'll have national championship predictions. But now we're going to move over to the NBA. Steph Curry was the big topic last Wednesday, and the Warriors because of all their injuries. Steph Curry came back Friday. He said his ankle's never going to be 100% until after the NBA Finals. But you know what happens? JaVale McGee falls on his leg. Steph Curry has a sprained MCL now, and he's out 3 weeks. Steve Kerr, the coach of the Warriors, said Steph Curry, there's no way he'll be back for the first round of the playoffs. The Warriors still are not panicking, but I think they should be by now, because the playoffs are starting soon. Thompson, Durant, and Green are still all injured. And a team with the players they have now, like we saw last night against Utah, if they have that team playing against Utah, they're going to get upset in the first round. They need Durant, Thompson, and Green back. And I think if those three are back, they could win the first round against Utah. It's most likely going to be the Utah Jazz at this point. So the Warriors, they have work to do. The Houston Rockets are 16-14 now. They have been incredible in these last few months. And it's becoming really concerning for the Warriors that they might not be able to beat the Rockets this year. We'll see what happens. They're on a collision course, and it's going to be pretty amazing what we see in the playoffs this year. In the East, the Cavs, they've been doing all right. The Celtics, Kyrie Irving is going to be out 3 to 6 weeks. He might miss the first round of the playoffs, maybe even the second round. Some are saying that the Celtics might get upset in the first round. But I believe when the Celtics, when their backs are against the wall and they're outnumbered, they play good. They won in Portland last Friday or Thursday or something like that, I believe. And they won against the third best team in the West. The Celtics, I don't think they should be worrying. I think Kyrie Irving will be back, and they're going to put up a tough fight in the East. It's going to come down to Toronto, Cleveland, or Boston. And it's so hard to predict which team's going to come out of the East alive. So, regular season is quickly coming to an end in the NBA. And playoffs are going to be starting soon. So I think that's going to do it for the end of this show. I want you guys to enjoy your evening, and I'll see you all on Wednesday.